Today we are going to talk about something that is very dear to my heart. Uh, I'm going to focus on goal mindset versus growth mindset. That is what we'll be focusing on today. Uh, as far as I am concerned, uh, one of the most important decisions you can make about your life is the decision about your growth plan. So, if I were to ask you this important question, I don't know what your answer will be. What are you doing to grow yourself? And what are you doing to grow the people around you? It is understanding that your growth as an individual is very, very crucial to the growth of your organization. Until you understand that, you will not really experience the joy of monumental progress in your lives and endeavor. So, we are going to talk about goal mindset versus growth mindset. Now, to start, I'm going to try to differentiate between the two concepts. What do we mean by a goal mindset? Now, a goal mindset, I'm sure everybody should understand that we are simply talking about setting goals, having something in view that you are working towards. The major idea about goal mindset is you focusing on achieving a specific, tangible objective or an outcome. The most important thing about having a goal mindset is that it emphasizes setting clear targets, planning and measuring by the completion of those goals. When you are able to achieve your goal, then that gives you an indication that you have achieved success. There is nothing that is really bad if you have this kind of mindset. But if you truly want to take your life to the next level, to an enviable point whereby people will begin to desire the kind of life you are leading, the kind of life you are living, then you need to be able to move your mindset from setting goals to a growth mindset. Now, people with goal mindsets, like I said, their main priority is achieving results, getting to the end goal. So their main target is they set a milestone, they set a target for themselves, and when they are able to reach that milestone, like maybe earning a degree, or maybe they were able to meet a particular sales target, or maybe they were able to complete a very important project, then they know that they have accomplished their goal. For some people, that is all they live for. But if you want to take your life to the point when you become an amazement to people around you, you have to stop focusing on just achieving goals and then begin to move to the realm of growing yourself. Now, to have growth mindset, what it simply means, the main idea of having a growth mindset is that this is something that centers around your personal development. And it also focuses on you learning through challenges. When you desire to grow yourself, when you develop a personal growth plan for yourself, it's not going it's not going to be an easy ride. It's not going to be a smooth sailing ship on the sea. There's going to be storms along the way, there's going to be challenges along the way, there is going to be waves of the sea trying to destabilize destabilize you from reaching your destination. But through these storms of life, through these challenges, you are able through them to still make something out of your life. That is the whole essence of having a growth mindset. It's about embracing intentional and deliberate effort. You deciding that something has to change about you. Now, one beautiful thing about growth, or one distinguishing factor between growth and goal mindset, is that when you set goals, in most cases, people use other people's yardstick or other people's attainment for their own yardstick, for their own measurement of their own achievement. They use people, okay, he has done this, okay, I'll be able to do this, he has done this, then I can be able to go further than that. While you may be able to do better than the other person, it may not necessarily mean that you are taking advantage of your best efforts. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are really progressing based on your own potential. That is the one beautiful thing between uh, setting a goal and then you having the mindset of growing yourself. When you focus on growth, you are not using other people as your parameter for success. When you focus on growth, you are focusing solely on yourself. And the way it works out is that whatever achievement you are able to make today, you want to be able to do something tomorrow that will supersede and exceed the expectation of today. Every day you are working towards having a better version of you to emerge. That is the most important aspect of having a growth mindset. A growth mindset often views failures as opportunity to grow. You know, when you set a goal, basically what you are doing is you are trying to eliminate all those things that can make you fail so that you can achieve your goal. But when you have a growth mindset, you don't necessarily eliminate those failures. Those failures that you are experiencing are also part of your stories. They are also part of the narratives that will eventually that will be part of your life, so that when you are now telling the story about yourself, those moments of failures, those moments of setbacks becomes part of the story. So somebody with a growth mindset does not have failure as an hindrance. They don't see failure as something that is preventing them from achieving their ultimate desire. They see failure as part of a learning process to getting to their destination. So, a growth mindset is about believing that you possess certain abilities that can be improved through practice and persistency. That is what it means. It means you know that you have certain abilities within you, certain capability within you that can be improved. And how do you improve them? By practicing your craft every day. By practicing your craft every day, waking up in the morning, getting to your craft and working on it every day, not getting tired, and then you are doing it persistently. Another thing I want you to know about growth mindset is that the result of having a growth mindset may not necessarily show up in 1 month, in 2 months, in 3 months, in 4 months, even in years. People may not really see the visible result, but I can assure you, over time, maybe after 5 years, after a decade, that is when you begin to see uh, your growth journey beginning to compound. It will, the interest, the result, the outcome of all your effort over the years, you begin to see them compound and then yielding a result that begins to amaze people. So, if you are somebody who values uh, possessing a growth mindset, one of the things that you will value above anything else is that you will value the process which you are going through. You will value it much more than the result that you are achieving. For a long time, personally, I have not really focused on results. It's not as if results are not good. They are good because having good results can also serve as a motivator for you. But the most important thing is not to focus on your result. The most important thing is to focus on the process that gets you the results. And that is what possessing a growth mindset does. It enables you to focus on the process over the outcome. It helps you to seek self-improvement and resilience. It helps you to learn from your mistakes in the project that you are undertaking rather than just aiming at just finishing or concluding the project. It helps you to understand the details that goes into achieving a particular result. Whereas somebody with a goal mindset, all they are just interested in is to get the result. And when your focus is on just getting the result, potentially there is nothing you will not do just to eliminate any barriers that can help you to get to that result. And when you eliminate some barriers, you are missing an important aspect of your growth adventure. So that is the basic differences or comparison that I can say that we have between having a goal mindset versus having a growth mindset. Now, I want to talk about, because we are talking about growth. Now, there is something I consider to be possessing your personal growth blueprints. And what do I mean by possessing or understanding your personal growth blueprint? Whether you are pursuing a goal, well, a goal is you growing, having a growth mindset in the short term. That is what it means. You are making effort to do something better, but the mindset that you have is to have it within a short space of time. Whereas when you have a growth mindset, you are not just thinking for today. You are not even thinking of the next day. You are thinking of the decades to come. You are even thinking of the next generation. That is the difference between somebody who possesses a growth mindset from a goal mindset. Now, in understanding your personal growth blueprints, I have two principles that I quickly want to talk about that will help you to understand which kind of blueprint are you operating with. Number one, is your blueprint a mushroom growth blueprint, or is your blueprint a mushroom growth blueprint? Now, I believe we all know what a mushroom is. Mushroom can be found practically anywhere in the world. And one thing about mushroom is that they grow very quickly and they also die very quickly. In fact, a mushroom can grow within 24 hours. That is how quickly a mushroom can grow. And that is the kind of project that some people are pursuing. Or if I want to put it in my own context, that is the kind of personal growth blueprint that some people are pursuing. They are pursuing an overnight growth plan. But when your focus is on establishing a mushroom growth blueprint, then your focus is not just about growing overnight. That is not your focus. It's not just about growing very quickly. That is your focus is not just growing, without really having some foundational principle that can help you to start and then sustain that growth over a long period of time. And that is where I have the principle of the mushroom growth blueprint. And you will agree with me after this podcast that this is a viable growth blueprint that everyone should have. Personally, for me, for some reason, in 1996, precisely from December 1996, I made a very important decision. And what was the decision? The decision was to grow. And I made the decision not because I was looking at somebody to be better than, or I was aiming to be more academically better than some of my contemporary in the university at that time. That was not the purpose of my growth decision. I decided in December 1996 that I was going to intentionally grow and do it with every effort that I have within me. And so I began the journey. And from that December 1996 to somewhere around October 2004, I could literally give you these figures because these were things that I did intentionally. It wasn't that I was just doing things without really knowing what I was doing. I did it with intention. I was purposeful about the things I was doing within this period of my life. And between that December 1996 till October, somewhere around October 2004, that was when I was in the university and transitioning into a copper, a life after university. uh, I was averaging at least 4 books. Sometimes it could be more than 4 books in a week. Somebody maybe say, how do you have all the time to read 4 books in a week? Well, I had all the time because basically I don't have anything to do. I don't have children. I don't have a wife. I just have myself, me, myself, and I. That's all that I have. And I have my future that is ahead of me. So I committed to that uh, much-room growth blueprint. I was averaging 4 books, and if you do your maths from that time to December 2004, that's almost about 8 years. I had already read over 1,000 books. Now, I'm also going to shock you. When I did that, I didn't do it intentionally that I was going for 1,000 books, but I was just focused on doing at least 4 books, sometimes more than 4 books every week. And I was doing that religiously for the entire 8 years period. Now, after I did that, did I become very great or very important? Was it really, really visible that I had done that? I am not too sure. But then I knew something were changing within me. I knew certain things were taking place within me. But today, it is clear that those decisions that I took almost 30 years ago, today, if you look at the trajectory of my life and you see the kind of things I am doing today, you could definitely link those moments of preparation, those moments of intentionality, those moments of putting in deliberate effort into my growth. You could literally see the impacts of those moments of preparation in what I currently do today. Now, the reason why I am sharing this is so that I can help somebody to start the journey. You may have wondered, this man started over 30 years ago. I am already late. No, it is never too late. You can make today to be your day of starting your own growth adventure. Like I was trying to differentiate between a mushroom growth and a mushroom growth. A mushroom growth allows you to grow very quickly. You are able to grow within 24 hours. Maybe you are able to. I remember one time in my secondary school. To tell you, I went to a very smart school. The students in my school are all, I can say they are all genius. They are very smart. And I am not even near the best. For example, in my own set, for example, I don't think I am even near the best. If we were about 150 or 160 in the entire population of my set. And every year when we do a general when we do a general result of just measuring how we are able to perform in the class, I don't think I have taken a position that is even close to 100 in my own sets. And not that I was having a bad result, I was having a good result, but it's just that the other kids are more smarter than me. And because of that, I wasn't really uh, doing my growth adventure so that I can be better than those guys, because I knew they are far, far ahead of me in every ramification. So rather than focusing on uh, getting better than A, B, C, or D, rather what I did was to focus on myself, to be a better version of myself every day. Now, something very interesting happened when we were in SS1. Number one, I was very poor when it comes to mathematics, but somehow I had this affection for science subjects. I was, at least at that level, I was very good in physics, a little bit good in chemistry, and then somewhat also good in biology. But I couldn't really cope with the science class rigor because I was doing very poorly in mathematics. Now, the story I want to really bring out was that there was one particular, maybe our first term, I think it was our first term in SS1, senior secondary school one. We were doing physics examination, and I remember when I was preparing for that examination, uh, we were given 10 questions to answer. And because at that time, I think we were also lacking uh, a good physics teacher. We didn't really have somebody really taking us. So I had to do some uh, follow up with some of my senior colleagues to kind of coach me and teach me in that particular subject. And so when we were preparing for that particular exam, they gave us about 10 questions for the exam, excluding the test that we had already done. And I spent all night in preparation for that exam. I was in the dining hall. I read from evening till the following morning, and I went for that exam. And out of 10 questions, I scored 8 over 10. These were physics that we have not even been taught in the class, but I was able to do well. I scored 8 over 10, and then when the result of other people came out, it happens that I think I was the person who had the highest score in that particular uh, exam, and that was probably the only exam I ever thought I did very well, exceptionally more than any other person. What I wanted to bring out is that even though I did well in that particular subject, it never really meant that I was very good overall. Because as far as that examination was concerned, it was only a short-term growth strategy. It was a kind of mushroom growth, because it was an overnight success, because I had read all night to prepare for that exam, and because of that, that reflected in my performance in that particular exam. And there was no other exam that I excelled more than any other person. But just to tell you that to focus on a short-term growth is not really to your benefit. It's not really going to add any additional value to you. So instead of focusing on an overnight growth strategy, I want you to adopt a more an enduring growth strategy, which is what I call the much room growth blueprint. Now, the idea of a mushroom growth strategy, of course, I said, is an overnight growth strategy compared to a mushroom growth strategy, which for me, if you want to begin or if you want to adopt a mushroom growth blueprint for yourself, I always recommend a 5-year intentional growth plan. You need to have a 5 years growth plan for yourself. Where do I want to be in the next 5 years? I'm not talking about you would have bought a car, you would have bought a house, you have gotten married. That is not the kind of thing I'm talking about. I'm talking about you improving your capacity and your capability, your ability, upskilling your innate ability. You need to set up a 5 years growth strategy for yourself. How can you be better than where you are today in the next 5 years? What are the things you need to put in place to ensure that you move yourself from this point that you are in today to an enviable position in the next 5 years? That is the kind of mushroom personal growth strategy or personal growth blueprint that I'm talking about. So when you have a mushroom growth strategy, of course you know that most mushrooms, in fact all mushrooms don't really have a deep root. They don't have roots. So if your focus is always growing overnight, know that you don't have the roots to really sustain that growth. They don't even have a very dependable stem, and there is no leaves that will keep feeding the mushroom with carbon dioxide for it to continue to grow. And of course, the end result of adopting such growth strategy is that there is no future. A mushroom can grow today and die tomorrow. That is the destiny of a mushroom. But when you adopt a mushroom growth strategy, you are simply setting yourself on the path of an unending growth that you will be proud of, that people around you will also be proud of. So when we are talking about mushroom growth, I want you to picture a tree like a bamboo tree, for example, or mostly they call it China bamboo tree. But if you go to Africa, particularly the West Africa, you find a bamboo tree all over the place. And when we are talking of a bamboo tree is a kind of a metaphor for our growth strategy. And why did I say that bamboo tree is a kind of a metaphor for our growth blueprint? Is because when you plant a Chinese bamboo tree, you plant it, you water it, you clear the ground around it, you fertilize it, you do all that is necessary for it to grow. Rain falls on it, sunlight shines on it. Every condition is perfect for the first year, second year, third year, fourth year, even up to the fifth year. Nothing happens to the Chinese bamboo tree. It never shows any evidence of growth. In fact, if you are not patient, if you are not a patient farmer, you can easily become disappointed and uproot the Chinese bamboo tree for inefficiency. But something amazing happens in the fifth year, in the 6th week after the 5th year of the Chinese bamboo tree. In 6 weeks alone, the Chinese bamboo tree can grow as tall as 80 to 90 feet in just 6 weeks. Remember, this is a bamboo tree that you have been watering, you have been fertilizing, you have been clearing the ground around it for 5 years. Nothing happened. There is no sign of growth. There is no sign of development. There is no sign of improvement. But this same bamboo tree, in 6 weeks, can grow to a staggering 80 to 90 feet in height in just 6 weeks. That is how amazing when you have a much room growth blueprint in place. And like I said, I usually recommend a 5 years growth plan for people, just like the bamboo tree. In fact, somebody said you will be the same person you are today in the next 5 years, except for two things: the books you read and the company that you keep. The books you read are the things that will shape your worldview. They are the things that will shape your perspective. They are the things that will shape the way you see life. They are the things that will entrench your personal philosophies. And of course, the people you company with. There is a saying that there is a common saying that says, "Show me your friend, and I will tell you who you are." The people you are a duplicate of the people you move with. If you move with fools, you are a photocopy of those fools. If you move with the wise people, you become a duplicate of those wise people. So you need to be mindful of the people you work with. You also need to be mindful of uh, of the books that you read. In my own case, I told you between December 1996 and October 2004, I read about 1,000 books. Now, was I immediately very, uh, did I become a genius at that point? I don't think so. But I still kept at it, and I'm still doing my best today. Even though I don't read 4 books in a week again because of the other engagement I have, but I believe that those ones that I have read in the years past, they are the things that has formed the basis of what I am doing today. Most times, maybe in the last 5, 6 years, I focus more on listening to podcasts because I believe listening to podcasts uh, helps you to assimilate. I will even say 5 times better than what you will find in a book. I still find time to read, but not as much as when I began my journey. What I did, this is the way I had kind of modified my own strategy. What I did was to find another route to improve on my growth without necessarily doing the things that I used to do before. I'm not saying you shouldn't read again. I'm not saying uh, that is the way you should do your own thing, but that is the strategy that is working for me. Because when I was reading 4 books every week, like I told you, I don't have families, I don't have children, I don't have a wife. So I was all by myself. So I had all the time to myself. But today I have to look after my family, I have to look after my ministry, I have to look after the other responsibility that is committed to me. I have to look after my job in the workplace where in the organization where I work. So my life is kind of in different direction. So the easiest thing for me to do to continue to enhance my growth is to listen to podcasts. I'm driving, I'm listening, I'm in the bedroom, I'm listening, I'm in the shower, I'm listening. Wherever I'm going, I'm walking on the streets, I'm listening. Wherever I find myself, any available space, I use it to listen to podcasts that will help me to be a better person. So I'm recommending the same thing for you. So mushroom growth strategy. Here are some of the main features of a mushroom growth strategy. Number one, it helps you to develop a strong root system. So all the while that the bamboo tree was growing, it wasn't growing for people to see, it was growing inwardly. There was growth taking place inwardly. The bamboo tree was taking its time to establish its root system. It was taking its time to develop its root system. It was taking time to locate that spot where there will be endless supply of water and nutrients. And then in 6 weeks, bam, the bamboo tree grows up to 80 to 90 feet. Another feature you need to understand about the bamboo tree or the mushroom growth strategy is that it helps you to carve out your own identity. Maybe when I started, you could obviously see that you will see me talk like this person today, I will talk like this other person tomorrow, I will talk like. It wasn't until around 2013 that I suddenly discovered I began to have my own separate identity that is different from uh, what my mentors or how my mentor talks or how somebody I aspire to be like, how they talk or how they do their things. It wasn't until 2013 that I began to have my own distinct way of doing things. And that is what having a mushroom growth strategy does for you. When you are consistent with it, when you do it diligently, dutifully, and persistently, it helps you to cultivate your own identity. Number three, it also helps you to establish your character. Your character. It helps you to have a formidable character that cannot be pushed here and there. You have your own principles, your own philosophies, your own way of life that has become the guiding post for your life. That is what it does for you. Then number four, it helps you to build resilience. You become so resilient. You are able to move to the next level. You are able to endure all kinds of things that people are throwing as situations and circumstances are throwing at you. You are able to establish that resilience. You are able to endure difficult times. That is what happens to you when you adopt a mushroom growth strategy. Another thing that it does for you is that it helps you to focus. It helps you to focus. You are not divided. You are not thinking like, oh, this person is doing this, you want to do it. This other person is doing this, you want to do it. This other person is doing this, you want to do it. Now, there are many people that are, teaching leadership out there. But if you look at the way I have developed my own leadership podcast and uh, uh, my leadership lessons, you will see a uniqueness in what I do. Most of the things that I do in my own leadership space is quite different from what you'll find other people doing. And that took me a long time to be able to come to that point. And that is what uh, adopting a mushroom growth strategy, that is what it does for you. It helps you to focus. It helps you to have your own path that you are following. Another thing that it does for you is that it builds patience in you. You see, if you are not patient, you can easily get wearied very quickly. Can you imagine? I have been on this job of growing myself for almost 30 years, and I am not tired. For some people, they can easily give up that when they are not really seeing the big result. They want to be the member, they want to see very amazing results. But we are not doing this thing for results. We are doing it just to allow the best version of me to emerge. I cannot wait to see what I can become, what I can potentially become tomorrow. I appreciate God for what I am today, but I am eagerly waiting for what I can still become tomorrow. And that is the motivation for going in my growth adventure. It's not about results, it is about a better version of me emerging, even more better than all that people have seen in the years past. So it builds patience inside of you. And lastly, another feature of mushroom growth strategy is that you become the envy of everyone around you. People begins to envy you. Some people begins to hate you for nothing. Some people begins to antagonize you. Some people they become your sworn critics. Uh, they begins to see everything that is wrong with what you are doing. It's part of the package for adopting a much growth strategy. Now, let me also tell you 5 essential active ingredients for your personal growth. Whenever you decide that you want to grow, these 5 active ingredients are very essential in your personal growth journey. Number one, I'd like you to know that you have to nurture yourself. It is not the responsibility of your mentor to nurture you. I believe you can hear that. It is not the responsibility of your mentor to nurture you. It is not the responsibility of your parents to nurture you. It is not the responsibility of your teacher to nurture you. I'm not saying all these people that I've mentioned are not going to play a role in your life. They are going to play their own part. But much more importantly, it is your responsibility to nurture yourself. You have to hold yourself accountable for your personal growth and development. Listen to me, when it comes to personal growth, nobody is going to do it for you. Nobody is going to be responsible for your growth. You have to assume that responsibility. You have to decide, like I did in December 1996. You have to decide that you are going to grow beginning from this moment. Another active ingredient, another active ingredient that you need to focus on when you embark on your personal growth strategy is that you have to constantly learn, unlearn, and relearn. You have to constantly learn, unlearn, and relearn. Now, this is a very important and vital principle. There are things you will need to learn in your life. You just have to learn them. For example, there is so much noise about AI. If you are still a non-believer in AI taking the space, you better begin to believe now. Just like the internet swept the entire world in a definitive way, such that we cannot even go back to the era of the 20th century. That is exactly what the artificial intelligence is going to do. It's even going to do even far more superior than what we saw during the advent of the internet. It's going to be more dramatic, more sweeping than we ever imagined. So you now begin, even as a pastor, as a lawyer, as a doctor, as a teacher, you have to learn how the artificial intelligence will impact your profession. And so there are things to learn, there are things to unlearn, certain habits, certain things that you think that have given you some comfort. You need to unlearn them and learn the new things. And then there are things you need to relearn, things you have overlooked, the things that you thought they are not that very important, you need to relearn. That is the way of life of a man or a woman who has adopted a mushroom growth strategy. There are things to learn, there are things to relearn, and there are things to unlearn. Another active ingredient for your personal growth is that you have to maintain a flexible mindset. Don't be rigid. Don't be rigid. You have to be able to adapt to current situation. I'm not saying you should adapt to something that compromises standard or your morality. That's not what I'm saying. But when you know that certain things are going to reshape the way you do your business, the way you do your ministry, the way you do you perform your role as a professor in the university, then you need to adopt a flexible mindset. It is those who are flexible that will see the end result of these beautiful things that we are talking about. Don't be too rigid. Don't be too rigid. You have to be flexible. You have to be adaptive. In School of Transformational Leadership, there is a course that we teach people who come for our program. We call it adaptive leadership. You need to learn how to adapt to current situation, how to adapt your reality to the knowledge and the capability that you have. Then number 4, another active ingredient for your personal growth is that you have to pursue your personal growth with energy. You have to be excited every day to grow. I have never seen a day in the last 30 years or almost 30 years that I've been on this journey. I've never seen any day when I don't feel I needed to grow. That's amazing. That alone is enough for me. That I can wake up every morning and I know the most important thing for me today is to grow. That has always been my mentality. Every day I wake up with the mentality, this is another opportunity to grow. You need that kind of energy. And you need that kind of energy to be able to sustain your growth. Then number 5, another active ingredient that you need for your personal growth is that you have to engage in strategic nourishment to experience healthy growth. You need to engage in strategic nourishment to experience a healthy growth. Now, what do I mean by a strategic nourishment? I will explain that to you in a moment. Now, when I was growing between 1996, December 1996 and October 2004, and I read nearly 1,000 books. I read a lot of books, no doubt, but I wasn't strategic with those readings. I was just reading all kinds of books. I was just reading books. I wasn't really very strategic in the way I was applying those books that I was reading. But in 2017, that's nearly almost after 20 years, after I had done my growth in a non-strategic way, in 2017, I decided I want to go in this particular area. I want to go in this specific area. And so I decided to segment my the things that are important to me, and then I began to allot my research in those areas. And I can tell you 8 years after I started that strategic move, I can say it has added more to my growth, more than even the thousand books that I have read at the beginning of my growth journey. So I'm just emphasizing to you that even whilst you are trying to read and to read far and wide, you need to be strategic. You need to be strategic. You need to know what is really important to you and grow in that particular space. You cannot grow in every space. You cannot be a doctor, be a lawyer, be an engineer, be an accountant, and say you need to focus. You need to be strategic. When you become strategic, even though you are doing something that is narrow, it will give you the best return. That I can tell you for free. So you need to be strategic in your nourishment to experience healthy growth. Now, as I begin to wrap up this podcast, I also want to talk about the key differences between a growth mindset and a goal mindset and a growth mindset. What are the key differences? Now, basically, there are three essential differences between goal mindset and a growth mindset. Number one is that the goal, the focus of a growth mindset is different from the focus of a goal mindset. For example, when your focus is on achieving a goal, you will be driven by outcome. That will be what is driving you. Outcome, result, end product, end result. That will be what is mainly motivating you. But when your focus is on growth mindset, you will not just be focused on the result. Rather, your focus will be on the process that produces the result. Now, look at my own example. Within 8 years, I had read almost about 1,000 books, but it wasn't really delivering the kind of result that I wanted. But the moment I became strategic, focusing on the process, I saw a monumental result subsequently after that. So that is one of the key difference between a goal mindset and a growth mindset. Another key difference between a goal mindset and a growth mindset is that you need to understand their approach to challenges. That is one of the areas you need to understand. When your focus is on goals, you will suddenly discover that one of the things you will be avoiding in your journey is that you will be avoiding obstacles. Anything that you know that can hinder you from achieving your goal, you will be avoiding it. But that is not the way of a person who has growth mindset. Somebody who has growth mindset doesn't see obstacles as their problem. They see it as opportunity. They see it as a learning opportunity. They see the problems along their way as part of the learning process. And that is a key difference between a goal mindset and a growth mindset. Another key difference between a goal mindset and a growth mindset is that you need to understand how they measure their success metrics is different. The way somebody who has a goal mindset, the way they measure success is different from somebody who has a growth mindset. For example, somebody with a goal mindset measure success by achievement. Now, I'm not being I'm not bragging about it. I have not focused so much on achievement as much as I focus on how I am doing better every day. How I am doing better. I don't care what other persons have achieved. All I care about is, am I better than who I was last year? That is my concern. And that is the focus of somebody who has adopted a growth mindset. The person who has adopted a growth mindset focus on progress and effort, not just on their achievement. They focus on their effort and the progress they are making along the journey. Now, as I come to the conclusion of this podcast, now what can we then say is the connection between a goal mindset and a growth mindset? You need to understand that both having a goal mindset and having a growth mindset can actually complement one another. For example, a growth mindset can fuel the persistency needed to achieve goals. That is how powerful it is. Like I told you, every day I wake up, I'm excited that I want to go again today. I don't get bored any day of wanting to go. I'm always excited about it. That is one advantage you have when you have a growth mindset. It provides the impetus for you to achieve your goal. And of course, on the other hand, a goal mindset can also provide direction to growth efforts. It helps you to know that this is the goal that I have in view, then it gives you the direction of where to take your journey to. So with today's podcast, I believe I've been able to inspire somebody. I know somebody is out there eager to grow, eager to learn, eager to take their destiny to the next level. This is what I believe can help you achieve that goal. God bless you. See you in my next podcast. Bye bye.